Alright, everybody. So, just real quick, we want to do some stuff that we've been talking about for Silmarillion. We've been talking about a bunch of creatures, and I'd just like to give us some uh, visual ideas. Now, right next to me, this is, in fact, a hyena, which we will have no hyenas on the show that I'm aware of, but this is about the size of a wolf, just to kind of give a placeholder in our minds because we had some wolves that we were talking about um, for season 3, and just so we have something to kind of reference, we figured this guy is about 6 feet tall. That's about the size of your average wolf. So yeah, let's take a look at some other stuff here. So speaking of wolves, here we've got a wolf. Um, you'll have to kind of ignore some of the names here on some of these things because I can't seem to turn them off for some reason. But anyway, these are probably about the size of wargs in our story. You figure that if a 6 foot tall guy looks about so big sitting on one, then it's probably about the right size for goblins to ride, right? Speaking of, let's say that we wanted to make them a little bit more hideous looking, a little bit closer to the wargs of the Peter Jackson films, just to kind of give you an idea. It's pretty ugly, but I don't think this is the direction that we wanted to go in, even for the werewolves. Um, so yeah, we've talked a little bit about bats, right? And here we have a bat. Kind of give you an idea, comparatively speaking. That's about the size of this thing in comparison to this guy. So I'm thinking that most of our vampires are probably about this size. They may start getting a little bit bigger than that. Alright, we've talked a lot about giant cats. Here we have a couple of examples. This is a saber-toothed cat. We've talked a lot about the various sizes that we could be. And then we have this guy here. Now, this is not actually a cat. This is actually a marsupial, but it looks kind of like a cat. And so, therefore, I think this is a good stand-in for the size of Tevildo. And he looks appropriately menacing. Usually in this game, there's saddles, which I did not bother to make saddles. So, here he is. This is about the size of Tevildo. We probably won't see anybody riding on him. Anyway, there had been some mention of Karkara. And, well, this guy's on 2 legs. This is obviously not a wolf. But if I had to give a size in comparison to the regular wargs and whatnot, this is probably the biggest we wanted to be. We've talked about eagles. This is the size of this thing in comparison to a human. I'm not sure if this is what we want our average eagles to be and our hero eagles to be a little bit bigger. I don't think, to kind of give you an idea of what this looks like, size-wise, for somebody riding on it. That's probably average for the great eagles. We wanted something a little bit bigger, maybe something along the lines of this size. Is that kind of where we want things to go? Maybe. Right. So another thing that we've mentioned in this time period has been spiders. This is probably a little bit bigger than what we're looking for. I don't know if Shelob is this big. Yeah, I don't know if Shelob is quite this large. Ungoliant certainly is. We've got a couple of other examples though. So this is not a spider. This is in fact a beetle. But that's probably about the smallest of our giant spider packs. You figure there's probably hundreds of these accompanying Shelob as they're attacking Menagum. This guy's probably about the size of Bilbo's spiders. This is a spider that's almost as tall as a man. That is pretty gross. It looks like they kind of used a similar idea for the jaws, is what we were thinking about for Ungoliant, using the solo fuse jaws. So, couple more examples of that. So this is also not a spider, but this may be about the size that we want to give to Sheila, just to kind of, you know, in our thought process, this might be where we want to be, or did we want to go with something this size for Sheila? I don't know. This is pretty big, and not a spider. So, another creature that we've been talking about has been trolls. What they should look like. So I've got a couple of guys here. This is, you guys may have heard of this guy, Gigantopithecus. This is about, figure this is your average Bigfoot. I don't know. Is this the size that we want to be at? This is about the size of what we were talking about, the Maiar standing about this tall. So the question is this the size we want trolls to be? Or is this the size we want trolls to be? Obviously, this guy looks a lot more trollish than the big monkey over here. Yeah, so there's some options as to what size we'd like our trolls to be. If we, obviously, this is not the size that we want them to be. This guy, although, if we want to talk about the stone giants of the Hobbit, yeah, that's probably how big we want the stone giants to be if we want to use them at all. That would be about the right size. Alright guys, that about wraps it up for stuff that we might see in Season 3. I do have some more stuff that you may want to look at, and I'm going to go forward from here in this recording and do that. However, if you want to save that, then by all means stop the video now. So pretty soon we're going to be talking about dragons. And so I have some thoughts on that, as one might imagine. So, when we get to Glorong, this is probably way smaller than we wanted it to be. But that may, in fact, be the look that we're going for. Of course, there's a few other options. We could go for something a little bit more exotic. Or something that walks on two legs, even. We could go for something a little bit snake-like. This, I feel like, if we could stick this head on this body, I think we'd be pretty close to where we want to be. Of course, there's plenty of precedence for dragons of the kind that we're looking for in the Animal Kingdom. Is this the size that we want for Glaurung? I don't know. Of course, there's also winged dragons, at which point it becomes important to figure out whether we want something that is four-legged or two-legged. So this guy here, I feel like this is about the size that Smaug should really be. As you can see there, he's definitely large enough to be a credible threat to a human. And certainly large enough that the dwarves would be worried to go up against something like this. Of course, you could go for something a little bit bigger, like this. This is a somewhat larger version of pretty much the same creature. So you kind of get the idea of what a relatively large two-legged dragon, two-legged winged dragon might look like. So again, you kind of have the size here of what a pretty large dragon might look like. I don't think we really need to have a dragon much larger than this. However, of course, we always want to look for the maximum size possible. There we have a four-legged dragon. And isn't he huge? I don't know if we could make Angalcon Black bigger than this without it looking absurd. He is absolutely huge. So you can see me way down there, and he's just looking at me. Oh my gosh, that's huge. Of course, we gotta see this one in flight. So there you have it. A bunch of different creatures that you might find yourself unhappily coming across in Middle Earth, if you should be so unfortunate. Talk to you guys later.